We're going to be talking about the debate between China and Japan over the Diaoyu Senkaku Islands. These islands are in the East China Sea.
Both of the countries mainly want the islands because of the islands' resources. The island's resources are things such as oil, gas, fish, land, and the seas surrounding it. The islands are all uninhabited and are 7 kilometers squared.
We are now going to talk about the history of the debate. This debate is over the islands isn't a new one. It goes back decades, but it had started up again in September 2012.
The history of China is that China's Ming Dynasty, there was a 15th century document that mentions the islands first. Japan's history of what happened with the islands that in 1895, Japan annexed the islands and later sold them to a Japanese fish industry. But in September 2012, a private Japanese owner sold the islands to the Japanese government.
They're arguing over the resources, territory, and the land and space for the islands.
Our research question is, what was the debate about between China and Japan over the Senkaku Islands? China felt entitled to the islands because of historical reasons. In the Ming Dynasty and a 15th century document that mentioned the islands first, China would claim the islands for this historical reason because they think that if history states that they found the islands first, then they should own the islands. This is also because of physical reasons, like China is closer to the islands.
Japan claims the islands because of the business reasons. After Japan has annexed the islands, later they sold the islands to a Japanese fish industry. Then in September 2012, the fish industry sold the islands to the Japanese government. So Japan says that they were the ones that actually claimed the islands first instead of finding the islands first like China had said.
We support the reason where the island should be split in two. So one area of the island should belong to Japan and the other half should belong to China. They should both have equal halves. This will avoid the arguments getting even bigger. Also, this means that China and Japan will become friends and will not become enemies with each other.
This is a positive approach to the crisis, mainly because both countries have a good and responsible reasons for claiming the islands. They also have both been slightly unfair to each other. For instance, China was being aggressive while trying to get the islands, and Japan was extremely protective and claimed that it was their territory even though they don't have official proof that they own the islands. So since both countries have been fair and unfair while trying to get the islands should be equally divided into two.
Thank you for watching our talk about the East China Sea island dispute.